Hi, welcome to today's tutorial. Today we'll be learning to create this semi-realistic orange using gouache. I'm using Winsor and Newton professional gouache today, and this is 300 GSM paper. This is pretty beginner friendly. Use any gouache that you have to create this particular painting today. So the first step is to draw out your orange. So I'm drawing a really big orange in the center of my page along with the stem and some leaves. So you can use a kneadable eraser to remove all the extra lines and also to make your painting a little lighter, because my background is going to be a little watery. I'm not going to have it very creamy, which is why I don't want the pencil marks to be seen very dark. So a kneadable eraser leaves no residue or dust behind, which is why this is perfect for painters. So the first step is to create the background. I'm using a very watery cobalt blue. You can also mix a little bit of white along with it to get a slightly pastely color texture for the background. So use a big brush whenever you're doing the background color. Round brush is suitable because you have to navigate all of these tiny spaces which is over there around your object. So flat brush is sort of difficult to do this unless you're somebody who's very comfortable with flat brush. Go ahead. You could also keep switching your brushes if that's what you want to do. So for all the larger areas, use a big brush, and then when you come to these curved areas which require a round brush, quickly switch over to that one. So my background is now ready, and this is how my palette looks. I love creating using these paints, and I keep the colors in my palette intact. I only wash them when it's absolutely essential, if all the colors have like mixed together and created a crazy bunch. So the first step for us is to create a orange, which is basically a yellow mixed with a red, which will give you a really nice orange. So the amount of yellow and red that you mix together will give you different shades of it. So if you use more yellow and less red, it will give you a slightly lighter color of orange, which I'm using right now, which is almost like golden yellowish orange, which is a good color to start off your base with. So here I'm going to add a lot of different layers on top of each other. So I'm not creating it too creamy. The next step I'm doing is to create a slightly darker version. I don't want it to be extremely light, because that would mean I have to add 7 or 8 layers, but in this case I want to add a couple of layers, which is why I'm creating this right now. If you're a beginner, make sure that you always have a swatch sheet next to you, and then use your swatch sheet to check what color you have blended together or you have mixed in your palette, and then apply it on the paper. So I have had a lot of years of practice, which is why sometimes I tend to just create it directly onto the paper. But if you're new, it's highly recommended that you always make sure that you add it on a little swatch sheet. The next color for the darkness I'm adding over here is a little more red to my blend. So if you notice on the right hand side in the palette, it still looks pinkish or a little crimsonish, but then when I add it on the paper, because it has a lot of yellow at the background, it blends in together and makes a really nice dark orange color. All my layers are wet, so this has become almost like a watercolor wet on wet technique for your gouache. That's why they're able to blend in with each other. Now if you are somebody who's a little slow, or you have a lot of patience and you like to wait for your layers to dry before you add the next one, then to blend your colors and not to make them stand out very sharply, just use a little bit of water, not too much, very little, and then you can blend your shades together. So one way that you can do that is add some water in your brush and then remove it by laying it down flat onto your tissue or your washcloth. So a lot of these excess water will get absorbed from your brush. So now I'm adding the colors for my stem and for my leaves, and you could either leave it like this, or you could also add another thicker layer on top, which will make the blend look really nice. So what I'm going to do right now is add a little more green, and you can see how it has become creamier, and it gives a really nice interesting finish in comparison to the first layer that I have created. I take inspiration for my paintings from everyday life, from the things that I like, the things that I don't like, the things that I like doing, I like eating. For example, this orange over here. I love eating oranges, which is why I decided to paint one. So, this is a very nice technique, especially when you have like a brain freeze and you really don't know what you want to paint. So, then you take inspiration from things around you in your everyday life and you create something. To add the details inside the leaves, I have mixed some white along with green, and you can see it's an extremely creamy layer. So this is now our third or fourth layer on top of our paper, which is why the more you go layers on top, make sure that your paint that you have mixed is pretty creamy, otherwise it is not going to stand out. If it is extremely watery, you will not be able to layer it. So this is how my orange looks, and I'm really happy with how it has come out. It looks so beautiful, so realistic, and extremely juicy. So I hope you enjoyed today's tutorial. If you're recreating this, do tag me on Instagram and follow me here on YouTube. Thank you.